Can't explain all the feelings that you're making me feel. My heart is in overdrive and you're behind the steering wheel. Touching you, touching me, touching you. God, you're touching me. I believe in a thing called love. Just listen to the rhythm of the heart. There's a chance we can make it now. We'll be rocking till the sun goes down. I believe in a thing called love. Let's go.
No idea, man, but that was great.
Darkness. I believe in a thing called love.
Oh, okay.
I'm a lover, not a fighter.
Yeah,
so
no.
anything with love in it.
Well done, man.
Thank
Bryant,
you.
that was good. That was good. Okay, now the nervous can disappear, right? So it's totally cool, man.
It's an icebreaker.
It's an icebreaker. That's why. Well, Carlito's the one that came up with it first, right? And I always say, listen, good luck on that. But here we go, 400 plus shows, and everybody's done
There
it.
you go.
Almost everybody's done it.
Wow.
So thank you, man.
No worries, man.
Thanks for opening up the show that way. It's a pleasure to have you in the studio.
Hopefully, we still have everybody.
We have everybody listening. That's going to get shared. People are going to go, that wasn't too bad, man. That was actually good.
Yeah,
they might start hiring you for that reason.
Maybe.
And we were off mic. We were talking. I think the last time that we saw each other was like back in IBS, way back.
Yeah. That was maybe like
Pull the mic close. Yeah,
5 years ago?
Yeah. It was. I was telling Angelina it was like 5 or 6 years ago.
Yeah.
And then I think it was you. Rob was there. Will Donnell was there. Horace was there.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get Horace back on the show. Rob's been on the show. We did the Plumbers Roundtable with him.
Yeah, I saw that.
And then I think Will was down in the States for a bit. Then he came back up here. Yeah. So it's funny how like things have changed. Landscape's changed.
Yeah, like when I went down to IBS, I don't know if you know, but like plumbing's only something that pays the bills for me. It's not necessarily the thing that I have love and passion for 100%. If I was to do it all over again, I'd probably do electrician as a trade.
Whoa, wow.
But if it wasn't for that, I originally wanted to become an architect. I just wasn't in a position to go 6 years of school. You know, I'm sure a lot of people have made life choices like that, not being able to afford the school part. I said, hey, I moved out of my house at 16, have to pay the bills. University is not in the cards for me. So, you know, trades was a great way to be able to invest in myself long term and still pay the bills.
And what was that? So you're 16, 17, getting into trades?
Yeah. Basically, I was in grade 10. I was working during the summer for a friend's dad. And he was a millwright by trade, and he took over his dad's business, which was installing dry cleaning plants. So basically, we did steam lines, gas lines, air lines, rebuilt presses, laundry machines. And then I realized, the girlfriend I was dating at the time, she's like, hey, he could close down his business one day, and you have nothing to show for it, which is a scary thought. And I was more like I really made sure that I was going to be good long term, so I had to make the choice. I went to pre-apprenticeship school on the weekend, didn't tell my boss, so I did, I think I did 4 months every weekend, Saturday and Sunday, to trade school, and then if you got an 80% or higher, they placed you with the company for your probation period, and that's where I stayed for 10 years.
For 10 years,
Yeah.
And then you became a master from that?
So it took me 5 years to get my license, stayed there for a while, had a few guys underneath me, it felt like an office downtown because I was always down there, and I basically was the lead man in the company for a while, and I decided that I needed to go make my own money one day.
But learn the trade on boots on the ground kind of thing.
Yeah.
Not necessarily outside of the apprenticeship, right? But not necessarily in the classroom and not trade school or anything like that, just on the weekends. But you picked it all up from there.
Yeah, I realized that I was good working my hands in the dry cleaning industry, and I decided that, hey, I don't mind doing this, and I went into plumbing, and I had a truck. My boss was down guys, and he said, hey, I need you to go do calls after 2 years, and he gave me the keys to the truck and said, go figure it out. Woo-hoo. So I'm like, it was a pretty nerve-wracking experience, but like probably a lot of people, unless you're forced into something, you don't know how much you can grow. And the confidence level that I built over that year there was
insane. Huh?
Was huge. Yeah.
I love it. There's more to ask, but I just want to do a quick shout out to Paul and Mac Constructions Inc. And he's always doing amazing jobs, big jobs, self-leveling. And so I'm wearing his tee today on the show. And then I want to share it with everybody. Target Combined Services. Bryant Isaacs is here at Target Contracting on IG. And you can reach him at 905-903-5434. And his email also is Bryant with a T at targetcombinedservices.com. So it took the girlfriend, the way back one, to kind of remind you that, hang on, there's no stability here. You didn't see that? You had blinders on?
Man, I was just trying to put my life in order and try to, like, I lived with, so basically I left home, stayed with some friends, and then I moved in with the owner of the restaurant that I worked at, which was in a food court. So it was a Chinese family. They weren't very well rounded in North America yet. They just opened a business. So basically I managed the restaurant in exchange for rent. So I lived in their basement, got me off the ground, and taught me how to interact with the customers and how to maybe do the business side of things in the food court industry. And that was pretty valuable. I hired some of my friends. But getting back to what you're saying, it's like, Jamie was her name. She basically went to school for marketing and advertising. So she had direction in that sense, and she realized that maybe I didn't have the direction that I should have in that job. So she's like, "Hey, you should do this." And
consider this.
Yeah, and she's the one who started Target. Actually, she basically realized that I was doing plumbing and doing some side jobs, installing faucets for friends and family, and she's like, "Hey, here's a Christmas present." She bought me business cards with Target from. She went to Business Depot, and it said Target Plumbing, and then she clicked the Target as a logo and printed it off, and that's how it all started, man.
And then it's just you ran with it from there.
Yeah, like I didn't see any reason to change it. Like a name is important, but as long as it's solid, it doesn't really matter.
So she came up with a name, but was there a definition or something behind the reason why Target?
I don't know why. I never really asked her why she picked Target over anything else.
It kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, like, especially with plumbing.
Keep your eye on the target.
Yeah. Like
bullseye.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, right. Yeah. Pinpoint problems kind of thing.
That's what you aim for, right? If you're playing darts or something. So I guess it's a good direction. I had to ask her about that.
But so how many years are we talking about now? What's it been like?
I got those business cards, I think, in 2009.
Okay.
And then basically I went full time, I would say 6 years ago, maybe 6-7 years ago.
You went full time on your own.
Yeah. But
there were a lot of training years before that.
Yeah. Like there was maybe 4 years of my life where I was doing 40 hours for my boss and 40 hours for me on evenings and weekends. Crazy, and that's why I got into the restaurant industry and the bar industry, because they were off the hours that I normally work, so I could service them most likely. When they called during the day, I set it up for at night. I can go from one job to the other. And
do you think working in the restaurant, the Chinese restaurant, kind of was like a precursor to getting into plumbing because you saw what needed to be serviced and already had an idea of how to service it?
To the exception of them wanting to clean out the grease trap every week, there was no really plumbing related.
On,
no,
right?
They didn't expect me to fix it, but I'm sure they saved a lot of money me cleaning out the grease trap.
Exactly. That's what I figured, right? Are we talking about a place downtown?
No, it was at Pickering Town Center.
Okay. Yeah, all right. So it'd still be the same kind of environment.
Yeah, for sure. I don't think the company's around anymore. I think they went under.
Yeah.
But I had to verify that.
Okay, so you got into there, but now if you had to start all over again, it'd be Sparky? You'd be getting into electrical?
One thing I've always hated about my job, and one thing I mentioned to you before coming here, is I have no idea where I'm going to be during the day, and I hate being dirty, and I'm always dirty when I leave work.
Of course.
Drywall dust, whatever. I feel like electricians have it good in that sense. Like they carry a little tool belt, they do a little wiring.
There's hardly any dust on it.
Yeah. Their tool bag looks like brand new. Like when did you start?
They have the 4-foot ladders, and the ladders are, they're pristine clean.
No glues over them, nothing.
Nothing. Yes, right. No yellow glue, all kinds of stuff. And it's like you guys have all kinds of different kinds of glues, the soldering, whatever.
Yeah.
Paste, all kinds of shit.
Yeah. That's the worst part about my job. I love my job. I hate how I can't go anywhere after work before I go home and shower. And once I'm at home, I don't want to leave.
You almost need like a shower inside the van.
Yeah, that's been done.
Has it? Someone's done that?
Well, I took all my tools out and drove to BC, and I
so you were doing it there,
I used
which
my
made sense.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I didn't have to rent an RV. I just used my work van to go out there, slept in the back of the work van, and saved me a bunch of money.
What year's your van?
I upgrade every 4 years when my lease is done, and it's 2020 right now. Yeah, 2020. So
you got one before the craziness.
Yeah.
You were lucky.
Yeah, exactly. What prices were good.
Prices are insane now,
yeah,
so
yeah.
2024 is going to hurt then.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Ouch.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're doing plumbing, but I mean, you're a good people person too, right? So you can kind of customer service and get that all done. They trust you.
I try. You know, one thing that got me that I heard a lot in the industry when I was young was, he did good work, but he wasn't personable. You know, like a contractor,
I wouldn't. No, man, I wouldn't say that about you.
No, not about me. In their past experiences with
contractors.
contractors.
Okay,
Sorry,
with other contractors. I thought it was about you. I was like, no, man.
So basically,
Yeah, okay.
I realized that, hey, if I'm a little more people person, I could probably get my foot in the door a lot more places, and it definitely helped. You know, when I worked for my old boss for that amount of time that I was working for him, one of the building operators called my boss and said, "Your guy's too happy. He's running around fixing too much stuff, and he's friends with everybody." And my boss actually sat me down at his table in his office and went, "I need you to calm down a little bit. People are calling me." I'm like, "Buddy, we have bigger problems."
Tone down the happiness.
Yeah. We have bigger fish to fry, and I just walked out.
That's a new one, man. That's totally a new one.
No, that comes from jealousy, from people not being happy, right?
So they want the whole crew to just be miserable and go in there and just make sure you're not happy.
I guess so. I'm pretty sure nobody else got that phone call, but
I think you do well in electrical.
Yeah.
You'll get in there because those guys, I think they screw around a lot more and they joke around a lot more and they always want to be happy. They don't want friction.
No.
But all right. So I want to ask you about a construction bone these days, but I guess, is it the same kind of construction bone that it would have been in the early days? Has the industry changed that much?
I think it's a lot different working for somebody and then working for yourself. It's completely different. You know, as a tradesperson, you don't know what your boss deals with on a daily basis. Late night phone calls, angry customers. You have no idea. The only time it really clicked in is when I went on my own. I'm like, oh, that's why my boss worried about that. And you know, it's like apprentices or people that work for the company leaving stuff everywhere and parts and like, that's cost me money. Where do you think this money comes from? And you know, you only realize this when you go on your own, and you're you're a lot more aware of your surroundings and what you leave behind when it's your money.
Are guys too eager to get on their own? Do they think that they know everything way too soon?
It's a hit and miss. Like, a lot of people have come to me and asked me, like, how did you start? Where did you find customers from?
Did you feel ready when you went on your own?
I did, because I had so many years of prep, you know, like me, not many people are going to go from working 40 hours to working 40 hours after they're done a 40-hour job and then eventually go on their own. Most people are going to jump. And I think that's a scary
That's
thing
what I mean.
to jump.
I think you did it right. Like you,
for sure. But
you had enough confidence to get on your own.
Yeah.
Right?
For sure. Yeah.
But the kids of today, they want to be doing it for 2 years and they're ready to go on their own.
I think if they can stay at home for as long as they can and jump at that point and have almost a backup plan.
Yeah.
I think that would be ideal. It wasn't necessarily ideal when I did it, because I had a mortgage and I had things that if they didn't happen, if I didn't get the business I needed, I would be in a situation. And, you know, not paying a mortgage is probably the worst thing you could probably do.
Yeah.
Except for not paying your taxes with the CRA. But
there's a bunch of things that could possibly stick, and all of a sudden you start worrying, and then it affects your work as well, right?
Exactly.
So that's why I was just curious about if the kids are they're getting to the finish line too soon.
Yeah, like I've always said this, although the school system is maybe a little bit, dated, I think that we are too young to make life decisions when we get out of high school.
I agree.
17.
Yeah.
We need grade 13.
You know what it is? I would say you need more lessons.
Yes.
More life lessons. Exactly.
Why don't they teach taxes in school?
Oh, that's a whole other, I know.
We're not going to get into that.
They're getting rid of physical fitness. They're getting rid of taxes, money management.
Yeah.
They're getting rid of a bunch of stuff. Why are they not teaching all that
There's
stuff?
a reason for that.
Of course.
They just want everybody to work for the system.
Worker bees. That's all it is.
Exactly.
I think everyone's kind of realizing that they're just trying to train worker bees, right?
Yeah.
And then
And
us as tradespeople, we get into the business. You go on your own. You learn those lessons real fast.
Still learning.
Still, exactly.
Yeah, like business. One of my talking points that I want to talk about is we were all tradespersons or people from the start, and then we went into business people, and it's a hard transition because you don't know what to charge. You know, when I worked for a company for a long time, I never saw the invoices that were going out.
Yeah.
I still don't know what.
So where did you get the information from, Brian?
You just realize. I think that first thing you start with is what your overhead is. That's a good starting point. You know, when I was younger, if it was double what my boss was paying, it was good money. You know, if you use your personal car, go. But then you want to be a little more professional, you know? You want to get that company truck, or you want to get the office, or like you want to buy a snake machine or something. You can't just operate like that anymore. Yeah. You know, it's a little bit of a wake-up call. Okay, well, I got to step it up a little bit. And like the amount of times I've purged clientele base is crazy. You know, Kijiji, Facebook Marketplace wasn't around when I first started, but Kijiji customers, I can't say I work for any of them anymore because, you know, the reason why...
It's just a race to the bottom.
Yeah, exactly.
So you were conscious about just sitting down and going, I'm not going to deal with these types of clients.
Yeah.
When they bring these solutions to me, I'm not interested in solving any of it.
One thing that has driven me in life is I've always wanted to build a house from the ground up. I wanted that since I left high school. And you realize that how much things cost, and you realize you can't get there by charging a certain amount. And you're not necessarily out there to rip people off. In conversations like what we're having, what we've had off Instagram, what I've had with many other people off Instagram, it's people necessarily weren't worried about sharing that kind of information. If anything, many people told me I was too cheap and I need to charge more. But I've always come from a place where I like to be fair because I can guarantee that you're probably going to call me back, long-term clients, than to have one-off clients. I really prefer not to have one-off clients. Like most,
that's not how you build a business.
I would say 90% of my clientele I've done work for. Yeah.
So back in the day, you want to share what your price per fixture was compared to what it is today? Because when I talk to off mic, you know, you don't have to share.
No, it's okay.
But it's just, it's such a gambit, man. I'm like, why is this so low? Why is this so high? Why are you guys, I don't know, so extreme?
I only started doing houses when I went on my own, so it's only been like 7 years.
7 years.
And I think that I was 500 a fixture when I first started.
So I would say at 500 a fixture 7 years ago, I think you were just above the low, closer to medium price point.
Yeah.
Because at that time, I knew guys that were charging $650 to $700 at that time.
Yeah.
And then I think it was right before the pandemic, you had a lot of guys that were charging $900 to $1,000.
But your clientele base is also changing around here. You know, your more basic houses, you can get away with the 500 maybe. Nowadays, when you're getting into the custom build, 7 bathroom home, recirc lines, all that
stuff,
wall hung toilets, like you're pretty much pushing probably the 1,200 mark per fixture sometimes.
Which I think is reasonable. I think that's a fair price
Yeah.
when it comes to what you're delivering on the actual install.
And another point that I wanted to go to is, when you're working for somebody, if you don't have the repeat clients, you don't know how to price their job because you don't know how they work. You know, you being working for a new GC is a little weird. You don't know how their building's going to be, are walls straight? You know, who are you working for? And what kind of work do they expect from you? And what work can you give them for a fair dollar?
So there's a question for you. So if you're doing a repeat job with a client, let's say you're dealing with a GC.
Yeah.
You gave them a price.
Yep.
You got the job.
Yep.
You guys get along. Everything's cool.
Yep.
But that GC didn't have the site prepped properly, and you had to actually extend your scope boundary to do a little bit more extra work.
Yep.
When you come back to do another job for that GC, are you going to add a little bit to the price because expecting that you have to do a little bit more work?
I think
or you
I think it all depends on what the situation was and why it was delayed. I would say it takes 3 jobs to really know how that builder works, you know, or any contractor for that. For instance, like if you go in for first jobs like that, second job, chances are the third job probably going to be like that. But if it's only first one, then you're going to
It's hard to gauge.
Yeah, 100%. And at the end of the day, I just want to keep my company flowing. If I can make a fair living and pay for all my bills for my company and still travel the amount that I would like, I don't think there's anything wrong with maybe letting some things pass, you know. But if like that customer doesn't respect you as something that you've required and you need it done prior to him calling you and say, hey, I need you to come now, then that's different. And then you're going to charge for that, you know.
I remember a funny moment I had with a seasoned plumber on site, and I was impressed with his skill set. But I mean, when I was saying a seasoned plumber, I would say he's probably in the business probably 35, 40 years, right? So he's gone through the gamut of all kinds of the evolution of plumbing, right? But he's also learned his craft, right? And I remember him doing some work, and I was in awe on how quick and efficient he was, right? And I already knew what his numbers were regarding per fixture, and you know, he gave me his numbers, I submitted it, and the client signed off, and everything's all cool. And then he would do the work, and I never told the clients how quickly the work happened because they would start to have a conversation with me, right? Yeah. And then I remember him saying to me, looking at me, and he just had a smirk on his face, and he's like, it's just like taking candy from a baby. And I'm like, it's yes and no, it's not, because you have this skill set. You've learned to be this efficient. Yeah. You've been doing it for decades.
You know what works, what doesn't work.
Exactly. You can look at a brand new home and you know exactly how to vent this, how to recirculate, how to move, how to do everything. You know how to connect everything. You know how to crimp, design, pin, like all kinds of stuff. You know all that stuff. So yes, it's like taking money from a baby, but also you've learned that. You've earned it. Yeah. Right? Sure. So that's why I was saying I can justify what, and at the time, funny enough, I think at the time he was $650 a fixture. And I thought it was fine because it wasn't just one shower head. It wasn't just a valve. There was always more stuff. Even
body jets.
It was all kinds of stuff. It was insane stuff. We were doing all kinds of interesting things because I was fascinated by it. Let's push this. Let's try this, right? And it was easy to him. Right. And he's also a problem solver. Like with plumbers or most trades, most of the mechanical top 3 trades, you see a really good tradesperson when there's a problem.
Yes.
Because their wheels start spinning really fast. Whether you're electrical, HVAC, or plumbing, you see them figure out solutions so quickly.
Of course.
And you're like efficiently and quickly. And that's where the respect comes in, I think, right? So I justify that price.
If it wasn't for the problem solving, I'd probably retire and move on to something else.
Yeah, because you'd be scratching your head and you'd be like, I can't deal with this. But I mean, you guys step to the challenge. Yeah. Right. And then you solve it and you're like, listen, I've done stuff because I just want to tinker around, and then I've cracked the fitting, you know what I mean? Because I'm just reefing it too much. And he's like, why'd you do that, man? I was like, well, I just want to play a little bit. And I'm like, how are you going to get that out? He goes, leave it alone. I'll take care of it. Leave it alone. Right. And then he comes in and he does it. And I'm like, how the hell did you do that, man? He goes, well, I'm not telling you. Right. And then he wouldn't show me. He was kind of blocking it, hiding it. But eventually he showed me. I was like, I would never have thought to do it that way, man. That's why he's got the decades of experience.
Yeah. And there's tools that you invest in over time, like a internal pipe reamer, that socket saver, if you will. Yeah. Those are life changing. If you don't have to chip the concrete and you're into a 90 that's going from horizontal to vertical in the concrete, and you could put a new piece of pipe in there, that's a win all day.
It is.
You know, not having to take out the jackhammer.
Are they spoiled today? All the trades? I mean, we could just attack the plumbers, but you guys have so many cool toys. Yeah. So many cool toys.
I remember when I started my apprenticeship, this is like going back to first year, I was getting yelled at by my journey person for not cutting threaded rod with a hacksaw quick enough. And I can't remember the last time. I think my hacksaw is probably in a bin in the shop. Like I have a bandsaw. I don't even have to think about it.
It's done.
I think in that respect, like pro press, crimping and that, like not having to solder everything. Like I was on the tail end of the solder houses kind of thing. Yeah. Like the customs that we did, there was some that we did full sweat. I can't imagine doing that now.
Nobody's doing it.
No, you can't price a job like that. No. Unless someone's asking you to price a job like that and they realize that you have to have comparables that are copper only.
Would it be cheaper to pro press it? Using digital platforms in our industry is becoming more common, especially among the young folks, because it improves efficiency, prevents mistakes, and overall makes our lives as contractors easier. This is why we partnered with Connecteam, a platform built to manage, train, and communicate with your team. Connecteam's desktop version gives managers a live overview of the business to track work hours, create schedules, make sure the business meets compliance, and so much more. Employees just download the app to their mobile to clock in and out, share safety reports, and get updates all in one place, ensuring they've got what they need to perform at their best. Connecteam has a free plan and a 14-day free trial. Try them today by checking out the link in the show notes.
I've always struggled with that time versus
material costs.
Yeah, 100%. Because the material costs are up. I think that I'm quick at soldering, But if I was doing like something over 2-inch, I would press it because the chances of something leaking are that much more.
On a thicker diameter.
So like if you're doing 4-inch, 3-inch, I would press it all day. Because like if you have a bad 3-inch sweat, it's a lot to go back
to fix it.
Yeah.
It's really difficult.
1/2 inch, 3/4, I'll solder all day. Commercial, residential.
But but isn't that's right? Commercial's all still copper, right?
Yeah.
They don't.
Well, I don't install it. You can do Uponor.
Okay.
But like I won't install it because it looks slop.
You're not a fan of it?
No.
Why? Because the fittings are just nubby. Like it's just.
It's just like there's no good way of attaching them to metal studs. You have to put protectors everywhere. Like
it's true.
I'd rather run rigid piping 90 and clip it there. They make proper stuff for metal studs if you're using copper and stuff. Yep. But I'm not a fan of zip tying everything throughout the whole process. Like that's how condos are built. Like they'll do stacks and copper.
Nobody's designed some sort of a clip or something like ears.
There's lots of clips out there. It's just like, I don't know. I hate metal studs, so I just try to stay clear of that.
That's all commercial stuff, or you get into residential basement stuff. That's where you start getting into that kind of world. But then I'd have an issue with running plastic piping through metal studs.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You have to protect it all the way.
Yeah. Everywhere, just in case.
You're cutting 3/4 piping to go around 1/2 piping to where it goes, and you're zip tying it to make sure it doesn't move. I don't know. It's just too much work.
Do both cold and hot? I know hot expands and contracts. So then if it's tight against something really tight and you start using it, it's going to expand and contract. So it can start wearing out if it's tight against something.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Over time.
Yeah, for sure.
But now you got a whole generation getting into the trade, and they don't even, unless they get into commercial side, are they still being taught soldering? Copper? They must be. It's got to be part of the actual. Of course.
I would say so. It's been a while since I've been in trade school. I can't really comment. I've tried putting a few people through trade school and it just hasn't worked out.
For what reason?
Because they've been my apprentice for over a year.
Really?
And it's just like I just had to let mine go about maybe like a month ago. Yeah, some stuff happened, cost the company about $15,000, and I just had to go. That was enough.
Wow. Yeah. He just wasn't focused? I don't want you
He's the same age as me,
okay.
And he has a lot going on. And I just think that not everybody's like me and you who can run a company that wants the daily stresses. Some people just want to do the same thing every day, And unfortunately, you have some people that go through the door that they first presented themselves as somebody that wanted to learn that, but then they realized they weren't really cut out for that because they'd rather just do the same thing every day because they don't want to think about it. They're not necessarily the problem solvers, which we were trying to talk about earlier.
So what do you go? You go with one apprentice like for a period of time, or you got more than one guys going on? Or?
No, I tried 2 licensed guys, me and another guy, and then an apprentice, and I don't know. It's just maybe I'm not a very good teacher, man. Nobody's taught me how to teach.
I don't think it's that. I think
I think my expectations are higher than a lot of people's.
Yeah, that's
and
what I was saying.
I'm willing to put aside the money point for a better outcome. If there's a problem that arises on site, I very rarely go to the client and go, I'm going to have to charge you more for that based on the situation. I'll probably just deal with it, I'll make it right.
Yeah.
And I'll feel good knowing that I can sleep, knowing that I didn't do it wrong. I'm not going to cut corners. Like as a business owner, if you cut corners and it comes back on you in the plumbing world, it could be a flood. It could be a lot of things. And that could be my whole lifestyle.
It's not on them, it's on you.
Yeah,
it's on your business, it's on your brand.
That's the funny thing about inspections. An inspector comes through, maybe they know, maybe they don't know how to inspect the house that you're asking them to look at and approve. But at the end of the day, if something happens, it's all on me. It's all on them.
100%.
Yeah.
So then do the new guys don't absorb that accountability, realize what they're doing? They're a representative of you.
I think it all comes down to how bad you want it. Like anything, if you want it, I think you'll absorb and invest in yourself. A lot of guys don't want to go home and read the code book and ask questions on site and that. Or
even refresh their memory and watch a video or kind of study, or even read specs of a product, a fixture.
Yeah.
Because there's
100%.
A lot of these new fixtures, it's not just easy. Like it's not thread this.
We're not doing Mo and Posi temps here.
No.
We're doing 8-port Kohler, whatever, it depends on
And you
on
need
situation.
to read the instructions on this.
And you need to understand, is going back to your guy that knew, you need to know what you can get away with and what you can't. Yeah. What's going to bite you at finishing in that wall? Having a 1 inch of tolerance on that valve, is that enough for what's going in? You have to ask the questions.
Yeah.
You can't assume.
Yeah.
Custom homes, they put a slab on that wall, on that shower wall, you're done.
That's a different world because you get a lot of designers that are not doing that homework, but they're speccing it out because they're speccing it out based on finishes. So they see a pretty image of a marketing image of something, a brand new fixture, looks gorgeous. This is the style, rose gold, square, oval, whatever it is, right? But they really don't have the understanding or the education of what the guts are behind it. That's where you guys come in.
100%. Most houses that I receive blueprints for, I ask a question, and I think it's a little bit different probably for other people, but I go, can I help you spec fixtures for your house? Because
it's a great question.
It's a win for me, win for you. If I can get discounted, even the way I look at this is that if I could spec all the fixtures for your house, and let's say it's 10, 12 plus, it's like, even if I don't charge anything and that goes on my credit card, completely just $12,000 between me and you, maybe I get $200 in flight money on my credit card, but I don't have the headaches.
Or you get 12,000 miles.
Yeah, maybe. Or maybe I don't have the headache throughout the whole plumbing process.
That's an extremely valuable point.
And I'd rather install things that I know are going to go in, that have a company that I can call and ask questions for your support. I know there's a lot of companies or a lot of fixtures on like Amazon that people will buy on. There's like,
Amazon, Wayfair, all kinds of crap.
Terrible.
They don't know what's going on. Yeah. It's a shitty environment because I recently learned a few years back that our suppliers are supplying them before they're supplying you. And they're actually giving them better pricing than they're giving you.
Yep.
And then when you go in there and you want to order something, you're being told the lead time is X amount, but yet you can get it on Wayfair or Amazon tomorrow.
And that's a big problem.
For like $5 more than what you're getting it at trade pricing.
Yeah.
That's not right, man, at
No.
all kinds of levels.
No.
But I know from speaking to an owner of a business, of a supply business, him telling me our volume is with them. It's not with you guys.
Oh, yeah. We're one-offs. Yeah.
Because they're ordering thousands of these. You guys are going in there ordering maybe 4 or 5 of these.
Yeah.
So they can't give you the customer service that you deserve, which is not right. I'm not agreeing with it.
Yeah.
But it's a numbers game at that point because I guess the markups on all these are not.
Everything's a numbers game everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's
and I get it. I get it. But like most of the time when generalizing here, but I would say most of the time when there's a designer involved, I probably have headaches. And it's like the thing is, the GC expects me to fix the problems that exist because I didn't supply it.
Mixing and matching is another issue that I have.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I'm like, you want to mix and match, especially in a shower.
Yeah.
If you want to mix and match
this diverter, this mixing valve, this shower head, if you can play along, but like a lot of times it doesn't work out.
Yeah, we're gonna be hanging out the playground for a little while here because you got to MacGyver this thing now.
Yeah.
Because these brands don't work together.
Yeah.
There's a reason why there's certain brands and they design things and they kind of get them all in line because it all fits together. And I remember finding those eureka moments where it's like you start using the same brand, you're putting stuff together and you're like, oh, they already figured this out. They already designed this. They know that this is where it's supposed to go.
Yeah.
So then it's easier for you.
Nothing's worse than having going to finishing, and over time you realize how to check for this, but like the customer only has the roughened valve on site at the time. They don't have finishing. You look online how it is, you look at the spec sheets, cover your butt, and you get to finishing, and on the shower head and on the drop L you have an MIP instead of an FIP. I can't put a nipple on that every time.
What's the first thing you do? You go around the wall and see what?
No, I literally go, we're not using this. I'm going to go buy this, and this is how much it's cost. I just stopped it.
Problem solved.
Square, circle, color, okay, match, boom. Most of the time it's Ryobell. Ryobell wins most of the time.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh? Because they're designed a certain way that...
It just makes sense. Having one valve that does on, off, or your function, and then your hot and cold all in the same hole. Why do I have to have 6 different holes in the wall when I can have one? And it's one cartridge.
I agree.
If one problem happens, replace the cartridge. I know everything's fixed.
Take the trim off and put it.
Oh, man. And then they have stops built in. The mounting is great. The trim's great. Snug. Oh, man.
Hansgrohe's are a pain in the ass sometimes.
a lot of brands of paint.
So they have their
I'm
own.
not going to start the list of things I don't like.
Because one job I did recently, and all of a sudden I was like going, this is impossible. Like, this is ridiculous. Why is this all set up this way?
Although
right?
Kohler's a great product, there are so many pieces that are so unneeded. I could just have one cartridge.
I agree. I know. But that's how they've designed it and put it all together. And it could be a manufacturing thing.
Yeah.
Like, we don't know the whole story about each of the brands. So
exactly.
they might be manufacturing it this way.
Yeah.
So that's why it's designed. But now you guys have to figure it out.
Yeah.
But that's why I go back to the designer saw a beautiful picture of this trim kit, a finished bathroom with his head, hand, whatever, tub spout.
Yeah.
But the guts are insane.
Yeah.
And they are getting insane. Toilets are getting insane.
Yeah.
Everybody's like, when they started introducing with total like $20,000 toilets, and then Kohler comes up with their new me, and it was like $10,000.
The spaceship toilet.
Yeah,
the one at IBS, the square looking one that has like a built-in foot dryer and a Bluetooth speaker and stuff. Like, what? Why?
It's insane, man.
And and sure, it's nice for sure. I would love one being a plumber, but it's like come on.
I'll tell you a funny. When they first launched that new me toilet,
Yeah.
and I saw it because I was invited to go take a look at it. They were launching it, right? And then all of a sudden, my first question was price. Second question was about how to install it, right?
Which surprisingly, install is not that bad.
It's not crazy. It's gotten better after the first 2 generations of it. But so the price was insane. I just said, like, when it first launched, it was like $10,000 or something like that. And I remember saying, women are not going to like that toilet. And they looked at me weird. Right? So everyone's got to understand, if you look it up yourself, it's Kohler New Me toilet. It's a square toilet.
It is.
It's a square seat. It's a square base. There's no tank. It's all square.
It's too harsh.
So I said, women are not going to like that toilet. And they said, well, why are you saying that? I go, because it's square. And no woman wants to sit on a square seat.
Yeah.
That's just
aggressive.
It's exactly. It's a very, I go, I like it.
I like it too.
It's a very masculine looking toilet.
Yeah.
And then
bachelor pad.
Sure enough, exactly. Sure enough, I think it was a year later after they were selling a bunch of them. They couldn't stock them enough. Then they came back at me and they started doing some market research, and they go, oh yeah, by the way, women are not fans of this toilet. They like the design of it, but they're not a fan of sitting on it.
Yeah.
I go, well, what's the point of a toilet? You don't stand and look at it. You sit on it, right, for the most part.
I feel like a lot of people that have those toilets, maybe they're not even going into the primary bedroom. Maybe they're going in the powder room as a conversational piece. It's art at that point.
That's what it is.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, now they're getting up to $20,000 now, right?
Yeah, it's
which is
ridiculous.
insane. But I mean, like, there's like power GFI. There's computer panels in it. Yeah, you're right. There's music, Bluetooth connected. There's a hot air blowing. There's a heated seat. There's the bidet feature. Like, it's just absolutely insane.
Still to this day, I have not used the bidet ever.
Ever?
Ever. And
you got to go to Asia.
my fiance says we're putting one in our primary ensuite, and I'm like, sure, that's the day that I'll use it, because I if I had one at one point and used and I loved it, and I don't go without, that's gonna suck.
Once you try it, you'll be like, yeah, we're always gonna have a bidet toilet.
Yeah,
it's just kind of. And now even I think Kohler's offering seats. You can buy a seat and then add it to a standard toilet that has a bidet feature on it. So it kind of gets you like hooked on getting the bidet feature, right? So no, it's a nice feature. It's just expensive.
I feel like I'm not really sold on that new V toilet. I'm more so sold on the wall hung. You
like
toilets.
the wall hungs?
I have one in my house. I have 2 more ready to go.
Flexibility.
Something about having clearance underneath the toilet and having
for cleaning. I love it
all day long.
I hate cleaning the base of a toilet and having to work around it. And if it's a wall hunt, you can just go right underneath it.
One thing that's cool is that I can sell it really easy to clients that want to build in a small space, because now the tank's in the wall.
Yep.
You're saving maybe 7-8 inches off that square footprint. Now you don't need a 5-foot bathroom. Now you could shrink it to a 4-foot bathroom, because you could shrink the shower. It's a win.
It's true.
And I could charge a little bit more. I think wall hungs are definitely where it's at. I love it.
It's the new guys that maybe crank the bolt a little bit too tight on a tile wall.
Yes.
That there's the risk of.
I think that there is education that comes behind the wall hung toilet. One thing that I posted recently on my gram is, you can't just be the plumber that installs the carrier and walks away. You need to inform the GC that if they don't plan on doing tile or a hard service and they do drywall, the toilet will always compress in that drywall and you'll have a rocky toilet. Cement board, all the way around, mudded in. Cement board is not compressing like drywall. That's a very important thing with those. Yep. And the thing is, I'm not going to notice it fail at that point if there's drywall, but I'm going to get a call back in a year going, my toilet's wobbly. Why is it wobbly? And hey, I told you so, but you didn't listen. So,
Carlito called me up and he was like, listen, I got a problem with the wall hung. And I'm like, what's the issue? He goes, it's leaking. I go, well, there's only one place it could leak.
Yeah.
Right? So I go, who installed it? And he goes, it was a GC that installed it. I go, well, why is he installing it?
Yeah.
And I go, okay, so he kept on describing it, and he goes, every time you flush, it leaks. And I'm like going, okay, well, is there movement on the seat, right, or anything like that on the bowl? And he goes, a little bit. I go, my guess is he cut that adjustable pipe.
The tube. Yeah.
A little too short.
Of course.
And sure enough, when they opened it up, it was too short. And that means when he was flushing it, it was seeping out.
I can install wall hungs just as quickly I can do a floor mount, building it out of the box.
Really?
I can, because like most toilets are the same. As long as, if you gone with a reputable and not gone like Amazon wall hung, most of those I can install pretty easy. You put a sheet underneath, you bounce it on the wall, you cut your tubes. It's pretty simple. A lot of forums and stuff, I go, oh, that toilet was terrible, but it just comes down to like investing time in yourself to understand.
But you did the research to figure that out, and then also you installed it, so you figure it out. And that's where this generation is not necessarily doing all that extra homework. If you tell them today to do what you did when you got started, basically you had 2 jobs going on at the same time. You're getting 8 hours out of each week.
Yeah.
There's not that many guys that are in this industry that
no.
or want to get into the industry that are going to look at it. Sure, I'll do 80 hours a week.
But the worst thing you could do in life, if you apply this to all aspects of life, is assuming. Relationships, work, anything. Assuming is going to get you into trouble.
It's true.
Don't assume.
It's true. It's very, very true. So you're ready to leave the business, or you're ready for if that opportunity comes at you?
My full-time job is doing plumbing. Through the pandemic, I sold my first house, renovated, made some good bank. People were overpaying.
Of course.
And we were fortunate enough me and my fiance, to buy 98 acres, a farm, which will hopefully turn into a tiny house kind of rental property. We have 2 electronic music festivals happening on an event this year.
Nice.
We threw the first one last year. So basically my focus is building up my property and hopefully get into a little bit of farming, tiny homes. Yeah. So.
Is the city allowing you to do all that, or you got to go through a bunch of
approvals?
I'm
going through all the steps now of getting it approved legally. I think not selling alcohol and doing a dry event is probably the biggest thing that will help. There's a lot of logistics in that sense, a lot of liability that you just want to remove. But I always had a love and passion for management, so. It kind of allows me
But just people pleasing again. So it's like you're
Yeah.
bringing people in.
Yeah.
So you're dealing with the city. How the city, it's a smaller town, right?
Yeah. We're still working away at it. Like, it's not 100% yet.
Just a procedure. That's
Yeah,
all it is,
exactly.
man.
It's like if you show them respect, they'll probably give you some, like anything.
Life.
Yeah, exactly. But like we're mainly focusing on a tiny home thing now, which is a little bit easier
How
thing to
small
chew
are we
up.
talking about we're going to go?
Well, my first one in Bancroft that I made, I don't know if you remember, I bought about...
I remember seeing some of it, yeah.
7 years ago, I bought a property up there, 10 acres. We built a 10 by 15 tiny home.
Smaller than a double car garage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we have a living room, a table that folds out. We have a couch that folds out to a queen bed. We got the kitchen, built-in fridge, second floor with a loft.
A loft, yeah.
It's hard building small. I like it. I like the challenge.
You got to think.
Oh, yeah, 24-inch fridge, a 2-burner stove. Everything's smaller. And finding smaller is a lot harder than going bigger.
Utilities are smaller.
Yeah, we're solar off there, so anything that I build, I try to do solar. Just because like running power lines everywhere is expensive.
Solar hot water tank as well.
It's gas. So
Gas, okay.
Basically, the one up there, you open up the pressurized system, which has a little well pump. As soon as it notices the pressure, the water heater gets turned on because it's a flow switch, fires it up. You have hot water. So it's
So what's your carbon? Like, did you guys calculate your carbon footprint or nothing like that?
No.
You
it's not even done yet, man.
Oh, really? Huh?
No, like we went up there for the first time in 2 years last weekend just to I don't know, use it for once instead of letting it sit there. It's more of a holding property now because that's in Bancroft. We have the actual acreage in Peterborough, so it's like we don't have a need to go up there as much.
Got it.
So, but we're not in a good time to sell, so I'm not not
Still
selling.
hang on to it for a little bit.
Exactly. It's a holding product.
And then just grow and then build more on top of that, or?
Yeah, like if we can get to like 10 tiny homes on the main property, I'd be good with that. Some yurts, some even just campsites that somebody can rent out for $50 a night. It's like an hour and 10 minutes away from the city. Why not?
It's funny that you're bringing that up because it's like all the Scandinavian countries, they just do that as a norm.
Yeah.
These little tiny kind of cottage chalet things
Yep.
that are just off a lake or on the lake or what have you.
Yep.
And they're small and they're built a certain way. So they're not really consuming that much energy.
No.
And they're comfortable and they're nice.
We don't need them big, huge,
No,
massive
no,
houses that
no,
we're living
we
in, man.
don't. None of us
Like
need
that's
that.
this show. We like to live comfortably. I can live at my cabin, which is 150 square feet. I could live there all year if we didn't have the freezing. The climate is what forces me to leave.
Of course.
Because we have an outdoor washroom, outdoor shower, outdoor sink.
So it's just the winter.
Yeah, it's just the winter. I could live up there all the time. We have better Wi-Fi up there than I do at my main house.
So are you still smiling when you walk into the job sites and you're walking into 10,000 square foot homes? Or are you still like just kind of frowning going?
At that point, I don't even look into it.
You don't even look into it.
It's just like, hey, this is a
what
job.
you want. This is what you want.
Yeah,
This is, I'll
exactly.
build it. I'll do it properly.
Don't get me wrong. Big
Yeah.
is nice. It gives you a lot of places for experimental. But I think people are just too big. Like there's so many houses I work in that somebody will call me going, we haven't visited the last 8 bathrooms recently. Can you just go around and check all the bathrooms, make sure they're all good? If they need any parts, just fix them up. I'm like, how many people live here? Just me and my husband. Why do you need so many bathrooms? It's like
We haven't visited the last 8 bathrooms in a while. Just make sure they're working fine.
it's ridiculous. And then you hear that they're moving to a bigger house and they're upgrading. I'm like, are you for real? Like I think that we're living outside of our
Excess.
means.
Way
crazy.
excess.
We have a big property, but I'm sharing it with people. I'm sharing it with people who don't get that choice to do that in life. My whole thing is giving anybody that comes to property, I go, hey, if you want to come camp here, just message me. You can go camp. I probably won't even know you're here. This good on you and good on me.
You want the quietness.
Yeah.
You want the nature. You want because we're looking for places like that.
Everybody's so stressed out that if you can just give a little stress-free weekend for somebody, I don't even charge them, man. Just go camp.
So you haven't, from the ground up, you haven't built the house yet?
No, so we're...
Like you're talking literally just take a piece of land, or you're going to knock down something?
So I kind of had to settle, and I'm at a point where we bought this property. It was a ranch-style 4-bedroom home. We submitted for permits. We're just waiting to hear them back. And we're going to take it down to the ground floor, all new outside walls, put a second floor on it, master bedroom on the second.
How big is the footprint?
2,700.
Okay. That's
So
good size.
we're going an extra 1,000
on top.
on top.
Yeah.
And then we're going modern farmhouse and basically just moving everything where it was to a new location. So that I would call that pretty much like the foundation. How much does it really account for? We've already renovated the basement when we moved in. We actually live in a basement, rent our main floor out.
Okay.
So we renovated the whole basement. So I call that, doing that part of the job. And unless I poured foundation walls, which I'm not going to, I don't need to. It's a lot cheaper not to.
No,
So
just go with what it is.
I'm just gonna
as
go
long
with
as
it.
it's not cracked or crumbling or,
Yeah.
or like water's penetrating. Then
We're
you're
on
fine.
top of a hill, so there's no water
So you're-
anywhere.
yeah, so you'll be
that's
fine.
great. That's
Everything
great.
runs off.
So I call that like a win without the price.
So where are you getting the knowledge to do that? Is it just back on site, just figure it out?
So I wired 3 homes so far. My first one, my tiny house, and my basement, which I'd done new wiring, and my
Yeah.
other tiny home. I've wired those just by looking at what electricians are doing on site and going to my own research. Wiring, if you understand plumbing, wiring is pretty easy.
Similar.
Yeah, don't
Yeah.
do hot in the cold. Don't put your neutral under hot, and it's pretty good. But I'll let the electrician do the panel, but I'll run.
You'll run things.
I'll run things. This many pot lights on that run. As long as you have the common knowledge and if you care, I think if you care, you could do anything.
Yeah.
I enjoy the learning process. Time is never on my side though, and when I get home, sometimes I'm just not in the mood to work
beat.
another 4 hours.
But everything else as well too. So you'll tackle framing,
I
insulation.
realize that I really hate mudding. I don't mind doing drywall, so I'll bring in a drywall, hang the drywall if I have to, and then I'll call a mudder taper. Hopefully he doesn't yell at me for my bad cuts. And then I will call somebody for the tiling. But outside of that, like
The trim, the hardwood.
yeah, I'll eventually get to it. I'll learn. You know, I don't have trim on my basement right now, but we'll figure it out someday. Framing, I'm gonna because we're taking the main floor off and we live in a basement. That's gonna have to be boom boom. So
pick a sweet week.
Yeah, sweet week, and then I'm gonna hire all the framing out, get a roof over the house.
They'll
I think that's a smart move.
Yeah, they'll get it done in a few days.
So I'm in a process. As soon as I get plans back, I was hoping to do it this year, but with renewing, with the high mortgage rates, it just wasn't in the cards.
Wait till the winter, ride it, and see what's going to happen next year.
Exactly.
It makes more sense,
exactly.
right?
Yeah.
And then what would you do with I guess you'd take a break from the plumbing?
Yeah, I think what I talked to a few carpenters that are going to frame it up, and I said, hey, I'll be your laborer for those 2-3 weeks. I'll take time off because at the end of the day, if they don't have to bring in more of their crew, it helps me. It helps me in two ways. I learn and I'm helping keep the budget good. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. It's always something I want to do. And another thing is, if you expect a certain product and you're not there to watch that product unfold, there probably is going to be some hiccups that you don't want to deal with or that you're unhappy with. So if I could build the whole thing along the way and be there, then I get to make a call throughout the process. I don't really like that. Can we change it? You know?
I find it fascinating that whenever a tradesperson takes on the task of building their own property, they make the exact same mistakes that we've been trying to educate homeowners not to make.
Yeah. Like I know when to call for help.
Yeah.
And I know like there's certain things that I can't walk down a hallway and see my bunny job. I know that. I learned that from a few houses ago. But it's like
feather.
Yeah. I want a stage 5.
Just keep feathering. Yeah. Oh, look, it's level 5. Now
10 boxes of mud on that one wall.
Now you're sanding and half of it is on the floor.
Yeah.
No, you're totally right, because I've seen the pros come in and they're like, you're not like you're actually good. You're worth every penny that you're coming in here for.
But then I'm on some jobs, and like today, for instance, a perfect example. I was working on 2 bathrooms in a condo. The drain height is above the concrete floor height. I don't know if you've worked in condos, and then you're doing liner because there's not really a better way. Doing Schluter in a condo is really hard. No. So basically, I told the tiler he needs to dry pack to the bottom of my drain, slope it, so I could put the liner, and then you could dry pack your slope for your tile. And he's like, no, just put your liner across. And I'm like, that creates a pool for your water. And I'm like, I'm trying to build better. And then I go in, and the guy who did the dry pack, the tiler, only does it around the drain. So it's like literally it's worse. And I'm like, at a certain point, if the GC doesn't care, the tiler doesn't care, and a homeowner doesn't know any better than to hire somebody else, then I've already tried educating. I just got to continue my job. You know, this is a lost cause.
You can't do anything at that point.
But the jobs that I get to be on, somebody has a time to hang out, have a coffee, talk about a best case scenario out of their house. I love that. I wish that was every job.
You prefer the residential or the high rise? Using digital platforms in our industry is becoming more common, especially among the young folks, because it improves efficiency, prevents mistakes, and overall makes our lives as contractors easier. This is why we partnered with Connecteam, a platform built to manage, train, and communicate with your team. Connecteam's desktop version gives managers a live overview of the business to track work hours, create schedules, make sure the business meets compliance, and so much more. Employees just download the app to their mobile to clock in and out, share safety reports, and get updates all in one place, ensuring they've got what they need to perform at their best. Connecteam has a free plan and a 14-day free trial. Try them today by checking out the link in the show notes. Different rules.
It's harder to get into the high-rise commercial, like high-rise residential, like condos.
Yeah.
I don't mind them. Like, they're pretty easy. I like how I can go into a condo and like there's only so many things you could change because you can't knock down walls.
You're limited, yeah.
Yeah, so exactly. It's like I like that. Coding's a little easier. But I like the challenge of homes, and I didn't do homes until I went on my own. So I basically got into little homes, worked my way up, and like I think the biggest home I've done is probably like 6,000 square feet or something, which, you know,
huge.
It's huge. But like the thing is, to get your pipe fall from point A to point B and not, you know, I don't want bulkheads, I don't want drop ceiling and that, to do that through all the LVLs and metal beams that are in there, it's quite the mental game. and I really enjoyed that.
See, that's kind of goes back to the education as well too, because you as plumbers, and this also applies to electricians and HVAC, you guys have to have an understanding of.
Electricians have it easy. They can go up and down wherever they want.
No, totally. But they also are the first ones to come up at you and go, listen, can I drill through that triple LVL there?
That's true.
You know what I mean? And the thing is, you as a tradesperson, you should be doing your own homework, find out what LVL that is, what brand it is, what you can drill, what's the maximum you can drill, where you can drill it.
I've only drilled one LVL, and it was for an architect that was building his own house. And it was 5-ply LVL, and there was no other way to go through. So I had a sheet made up, and I got him to sign going, hey, everybody's on board with this.
5-ply?
5-ply.
How far or were you
I don't know what the span was because the floor was already down because it was.
So this was 11 7/8 LVL, or is
I think so.
Okay, so 12.
We got like an engineer to sign off on it, and I didn't feel every ply I went through. I'm like, I don't feel good about this because I know from you just don't drill LVLs.
Even I-joists. I remember when I got the okay to run an 8-inch hole. It was technically it was an 8 1/4 inch.
As long as you're
hole.
set back from the ends.
When we measured everything, it put us right in the middle.
Yeah.
And I was allowed to make an 8 1/4 inch hole through all these I-joists to avoid a bulkhead in the garage to run the 8-inch duct line through this.
Can you even get a hole saw that big?
No, we had to jigsaw every single one. Oh. So you have to make a template first, put it on, so then you can drill it around it to avoid the top and bottom plates. Yeah. But we were allowed to do that, and I was like, it
didn't feel good.
It didn't feel good.
No.
It felt
you
weird.
looked at it, you're like,
that's a big
someone's
hole.
Gonna call me out for it.
Yeah. But they signed off on it, and the inspector didn't even notice it or care or whatever, right?
It's crazy if you take the houses that we first started working on, and then you take the houses now, and scissor trusses and all that. We're going back to the question: do people have it easier? I would say yes, all day. But we also are more educated because you go into old homes and joists cut it all the time. In the century homes.
And when you open them up, you're like, how does this still stand?
Exactly.
And you see that big crack because everyone's notched out the bottom of the top.
So I think we've gotten smaller, but also the technology to engineer something has moved along with that. So,
I mean, even when I-joists were first introduced and I look at them, I'm going, how the hell is this stronger than dimensional lumber? But they say it's stronger than dimensional lumber, right? Yeah. But now you're getting into joists, you get into metal joists, you get into webbing, you get all kinds of stuff. But that's just more and more cost to give you freedom for you guys to run everything through, which is convenient because other than that, you just walk in going bulkhead, 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 and that's it. Just accept it. And it's not even that. It's just I've only done one job where we ran cast iron. Mm-hmm. And the client specified that because he did
horizontals or only verticals?
No, we went. We had to travel it from all the way to the top, and it only went horizontal for 2 feet, so we can jog it.
Okay,
but it was all vertical, and he was just adamant about it. He wanted it, and it did make a huge difference sound-wise.
Oh, for sure,
huge difference.
I'll definitely be doing that on my master.
But the bill was like. It was heavy to do it, right? It was like I think it was like 4 times the cost of ABS, man.
I miss doing cast iron. That's my favorite thing to do in plumbing is like I used to do a lot of parking garage repipes and stuff like that. So we go in, close off like 20 parking spots and replace a bunch of piping. I was doing like 6-inch cast by myself. I was
6-inch
cast. I was built a little bit better than I am now, you know? Like I missed those days. Now I'm like 4-inch. But it's like my body's probably screaming at me because I used to throw that stuff at it. But like I miss that. I miss just jamming out and doing cast.
Was it like the skill set attached to it? Was it like you figuring out exactly your cuts have to be bang on perfect, your joints, everything has to be set up properly?
Most of the time I was replacing, so I just
so you already knew.
I took the old pipe down, laid them all in a row, cut all those the same way, and made sure that it looked good before I took it down.
Yeah.
New fittings, make sure they're the same. It was pretty straightforward stuff. It wasn't a lot of mind game. I've only done a few jobs where it was new construction and I had to figure out all the cuts by myself. I was mostly like a guy that got thrown into when something was leaking, cracked, and then I had to do it. A lot of parking garages, like I said, that were already piped in that we had to figure out how to switch the piece that was dripping on someone's car. But there's a lot of things. The salt in the cast iron, if you don't pressure wash the parking garages, salt will sit and it will dry out and
And it'd eat away at it.
It'll crack the cast.
Really?
If it sits in there, yeah, because it's so like.
So it's sitting there because it wasn't having the right slope or something, or
Well,
maybe
it's
it's
just,
sag.
Yeah, no, not necessarily. Like in the wintertime when they pressure wash the parking garages up, all the salt's all over all the parking.
And then salt.
And then this it sits and then sits in the pipe, doesn't move because they haven't cleaned the pipe, they haven't done maintenance, so you have rocks and dirt all in the lines that are just holding salt, and then it's game over for that pipe.
Do you prefer service over new?
I love service. I love.
Why do you love service?
I love being. A few reasons. If you're doing residential, you don't really get it into commercial, but someone's calling you into panic, and you get to come save their day.
Save the world.
You gotta be a little Superman. You know, I know I'm not saving the world, but I'm saving your world.
Yes, exactly.
And it's a good feeling at the end of the day. And a lot of times they're willing to pay for that if you come in emergency. If you're waking up at 10 o'clock and going to someone's house that's flooding, and you arrive there, they like you.
I know a plumber who retired, and he owns one of the few, I think it's one of 2 or 3 GT40s in Canada. And he built that off of service plumbing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
One of the few cars that appreciates in value instead of depreciates, right?
Yeah.
And that's a plumber.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. So, like, there's a lot of guys say great things about service.
Yeah. I love I have still this day. I have no problem someone calling me late at night if I hear my phone and me jumping out of bed and going to bed. But that's just loving what you do.
Yeah.
I feel bad for the people that don't love what they do. It sucks. Like it's not about money because the money doesn't matter if you hate your life.
Of course, there's other factors attached to that.
Yeah, for sure.
But then those are the guys who are just punching the clock.
Yeah.
Right. And there's a big chunk of people in the industry that are just punching the clock. But I mean,
sure.
I remember like early on in my career, I had a junior immigrant on site, and he just like enlightened me. He was just saying, I could either be on site here for 8 hours and be grumpy, or I could be on site for 8 hours and ask questions of other tradespeople and learn things on my lunchtime. I could just learn. I could be here working, being paid, learning. I can look at it that way, or I can look at it just be grumpy all day long.
Another way of looking at it is most people want to live in their own house. And you know what? We all have plumbing in our house. If you can maybe do 2 years of that job, 2 years of that job, and learn how to take care of your own stuff, that is huge.
You're on a site already.
Yeah.
There's other tradespeople.
Yeah.
You don't know their trade, but it doesn't prevent you from asking them a question or two.
No.
Or paying attention, side-eye them, and just like look at what they're doing, and then make a mental note. And then when you get an opportunity to repair, renovate, build your own, you do it.
I would say HVAC's one of those things I don't care to do. I've been cut by sheet metal quite a bit, and I just don't care.
It goes without fail, and I get why the HVAC guys are always wearing those really tight neoprene gloves.
Oh, for sure.
But they still cut too. It's just it's a smaller cut. It's not as bad.
Yeah.
Right. But it just goes without fail. Whenever I'm trying to reroute some HVAC, I'm trying to make it cleaner, whatever. I'll always cut myself.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, I can never find the perfect tin snips, and they've got their whole arsenal of tin snips that will cut in any direction that they want that works for them. And I'm like, how do you guys have all that?
Yeah.
Well, they have their whole Milwaukee pack out all set up for all the things that they need to do.
I would say it's one of the trades I've never really looked and desired to gain knowledge. Electricians, tilers, how do you miter that cut, all that stuff.
HVAC, no.
Yeah, it's crazy. And there's this. I had my bathroom done in my basement, and finding a tiler, there's a few that you look up to, but usually they're always busy. And I found this guy in Peterborough. My bathroom was the last one that he did before he got in full time in pottery. But tiling is weird. I found that everybody's an artist. They work half days. They enjoy what they're doing, and they're only doing half days. Don't push them anymore. But you're probably going to get a good product. And my bathroom is every tile has a. Oh yeah, I love it. I'm so glad I didn't make that choice to do it myself. I probably would have torn it out by now. But it's probably the nicest bathroom I've ever been in.
Do HVAC or do plumbers have more Milwaukee tools?
I would say plumbers
have more Milwaukee tools than HVAC. HVAC's got all 3 of the trades underneath their belt. They're dealing with electrical, gas, tin. Plumbing is how sometimes.
I also don't know too many HVAC guys.
I just whenever I see HVAC guys,
I'm comparing my arsenal to Oris's, and I would say he's goes between brands quite a bit.
Does he? Whatever. When I see the HVAC guys, it's just I swear it looks like a Milwaukee catalog. They've got almost everything, I think.
Well, okay. Proving a point right here. Like I have all pack of my.
Of course, even I have them. They're the best things ever, man.
Yeah,
it makes sense.
Companies help me quite a bit, so I stand behind them. There's going to be flaws with every tool company, like it's things that they didn't think about, wish they thought about, or didn't care to think about. So but at the end of the day, you got to pick something that works for you, and if it's all compatible, that makes everything easier.
I saw a funny video recently about someone was creative on the job site. I don't know if he did this during the work hours or if he did this off work hours, but he had a Makita tool die, and then he gave it a funeral burial. He literally was making these tools like animation just move around off of fishing wire and stuff, and then he put it inside a Milwaukee case, closed it, and then he had like these strings from chalk lines that were lowering into a pit, and then they were digging it, putting it back in, and then they put flowers on the grave.
I'm looking for that as soon as I leave here.
I'll see if I can find it. I'll send it to you. But I was just howling my ass off. Like he had other tool brands there as well. They're all by the grave.
Watching.
They're all watching.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is creative, but I'm wondering if he's doing it on someone else's dime on the job site, or if he's just doing it on his own side. But that's funny.
The internet is a weird place. You go, how did you come up with this?
It was perfect.
It's like those two drills that they put in a ring and they compete of what one dies first. You seen that?
I haven't seen that.
They put like a metal rod between the two chucks and then lock the power in, and they're just like flipping everywhere.
Really?
Yeah, and then like.
So who's winning?
I don't know. I think it's a toss up. What did the drill go through before? If they're taking my drill, it's probably not going to last very long because I'm pretty hard on them.
I saw one with Richard Attenborough, David Attenborough, and he was talking about the pink Makita drill going through the bush looking for a mate, and then all of a sudden there's a Milwaukee there, and he's like, she won't choose a Milwaukee. So it's just like, guys, I love that the guys are having so much fun with their tools and they're making a living, and they like you said, be happy.
Yeah,
just enjoy your job and be on site and enjoy everything, right?
For sure. Yeah,
it's too funny, man. What else you want to chat about, man? We got still some time here.
I got some things I want to talk about. Let's see.
Well, I know if you wanted to bring it up, I know that, what is it, like 3 years ago? You had the piece of a blade going to your...
Yeah, that was
that's
so
scary,
I don't know if everybody knows the whole story except for what happened after. So I can
you shared some of it, but I mean,
so
you're lucky, right?
I got called by this contractor on the gram to go to his rental property. It's a basement. The kitchen line copper line goes underneath his basement bathroom, and we find where the pinhole is. So all the water from the sink is just going to the floor and coming out of the hole. So we figured out where it is. It's underneath the sink. So I moved the vanity and I was cutting the linoleum floors. You know that one piece roll down flooring that people cheap out on, you can buy from Home Depot and glue it on. So I was just cutting with an X-Acto knife or an Ophel knife. This is where I need to chip the concrete underneath the vanity so we could put the vanity back, covers everything, no problem. Somehow, I've used Ophel knives a lot.
Everybody,
I had it out this much. Some guys are putting out the blade like this, and I'm like, now I see that. Now I'm like, I almost got the safety glasses on, But I was cutting the linoleum, and the blade cracked. It bounced off the concrete, went in my eye, and I work a lot by hovering across the ground, so I'll almost be squatting, and I'll work like that. So my head was pretty close to the ground, bounced up. I'm above a vanity, so I stood up, looked in the mirror, and I was like, I should have no eyesight right now. I felt that, and I could see both eyes. And then as I was looking in the mirror, I think it was my right eye. I forget now. That's how good my vision is now. Okay. But so basically, my vision, blade. Yeah, it went in, cut, and then it fell out, and I didn't have vision in that eye.
So it pierced the cornea, pierced your iris, and then it fell. The piece itself fell out.
Yeah, there's no metal in there. So what happened was the contractor called the ambulance. Ambulance came. My vision was coming back a little bit. It was blurry, so I'm like, okay, my eye was just in shock. Not as bad as I first thought, because I went from having vision to no vision to getting kind of like a cloudy vision back. Yeah. So I'm like, okay. Called my fiance. We went to the hospital. I told him what happened. They said it's going to be a six-hour wait or something. And I said, I can't do this. I'm just going to sleep on it. And it was probably a terrible decision, but I woke up the next day and I had this bad thought of me losing my eye. So I said, I'm taking a day off and going to the optometrist. I go to the optometrist. in an hour after I went there, I was in for surgery. They said that if I left there any longer, my eye was going to dry out because it was basically leaking.
There was a hole.
Your eye is pressurized.
There's a fluid inside there.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it was. I never knew the healthcare system could work like that. 4 surgeons were working on my eye. They stitched my eye closed, and I was off for 2 months. Yeah.
Sealed and protected and everything.
Yeah, like
that,
basically
right?
covered full time patch. Yeah, it was a life changing experience, and to be honest, I didn't share it to make people feel sorry for me or to get a rise or
No.
I did it to inform. Going, it's no joke.
It's a simple thing that you never thought would have happened.
When I went into the surgery, they said there's a chance you may come out of the surgery without vision in that eye, but if you don't go, you won't have vision. So it's kind of like, that's a weird position to be in.
Yeah.
But then, you hit it. It was all happened so quick. I couldn't even really
Why
think
did
about
you
it.
think to it's going to be a 6-hour wait, I'm going to go? Why did you think I'm going to go and not just wait the 6-hour wait? Because you thought 6 hours was going to turn into 9 hours?
I did, because I had this false sense of getting my vision back after it happened.
It'll fix itself.
Like most of the time I cut myself and it's like, you just kind of deal with it, and I guess I just didn't notice how serious it was, but I'm glad that my conscience played a part, and like I can't even tell which is my bad eye or what one.
So it healed really well.
Yeah, it healed really well. I think the doctor said if you don't take the 2 months off work and come back, I was in for checkups every week and doing I think 3 drops every 4 hours.
What was the risk that he was saying? He was like, it could get infected kind of thing?
Could get infected
That's
with
what it
dust
is.
and stuff like
Yeah.
that. And
so
then
you're in construction.
Yeah.
Okay, well, you can't work now.
Yeah.
And you can't do any work at home now.
Yeah.
And you got to be careful about cleaning.
And that's the worst case scenario of what everybody tells you when you're self-employed is being off work with an injury. I quit mountain biking because that's too risky.
Yeah.
You try to limit the risk when you're on your own, right?
It's true.
Because you don't have the benefits and you don't have the backup plan to go along with that.
Because then what happens from there?
Yeah. So luckily, I was in a position where I planned ahead, and I wasn't in too bad a shape. People understood. They pushed jobs a little farther back, and depending on what it was, I paid people to do the jobs I needed to get done. It was a rough time.
But most trades don't think to put on safety goggles when working with a utility knife. Nobody thinks that.
If you're using a grinder,
I'm the same way.
Grinder, sure, all day. You
Yeah.
probably mentally think about it. A X-Acto knife, it's in your hand tools. You don't think about it. It's like grabbing a screwdriver. That screwdriver tip could break off and go in your eye right then and there.
I had a very similar situation around the time that yours happened, where I was sistering joists in a job in the basement, and then there was a bunch of nails that were protruding out from the existing joists, old joists, right? It was like a 1950s home or whatever. And so we were taking turns going up into the joist cavity to grind off the nail heads, right?
Yeah.
I had goggles on, I had my headset on, and for some weird reason, one little piece of metal just worked its way around the safety goggles and went into my eye.
Yeah.
And then I think I've shared this on the show before, way back when, but it was irritating. I didn't rub my eye. Like, I just knew something was there. I looked in the mirror. I couldn't really see it. And then all of a sudden, I left it alone for the day. We finished the work day. I went home, and I wake up, and my eye is just irritating. It's begging me to scratch it.
And you don't know at that point if it's this, if it's already out and it's this nicked, and you just got to leave it alone, or there's something still in there.
And so then I went to the optometrist, which I know him really well, and I walked in there, got me in right away. He put the camera on me, looked at it, he goes, "Yep, you got a small little piece of metal right on the edge of the iris and the eyeball." And he goes, "I can't touch it because of rules regarding optometry and surgeons.
Right.
The moment it's touching the iris, then it belongs to the surgeon. If
Right.
it was in the eye, in the white part of the eye,
Yep.
it belongs to the optometrist,
Wow.
right?" So he goes, "I'm going to book you to a specialist." So then I get rushed to a specialist. I literally go there, and then she she goes in there. I'm in there. It took longer for me to fill out the paperwork to walk in there than it took her to take it out. But she literally had my eye open, put the drops on it, grabbed tweezers, and then pulled it right out. She showed it to me. It was like a tiny, tiny piece of metal, rusted metal. And then she just said, "No dust, stay off of it, keep it covered, and just be clean, right? And then the drops, the same thing.
Yeah.
And it healed pretty fast. But yeah, I mean, his concern was it was going to get infected, which could potentially lead to you losing your sight.
Yeah.
But it was one little thing like that, right?
You don't realize how grateful you should be for having the life you have until it's taken away from you. You know, it's the whole time from when it wasn't too serious until I got to the optometrist, and then the optometrist walked out of the room, started talking to people. You know, it's bad at that point. You know,
let me have a conversation.
So I'm like, gosh. So basically,
serious. This is serious. Yeah.
So basically, at that point, I realized that it was serious, and I had a lot of things like, what happens if I can't see? Like if you cover your eye and try looking around, your vision's not the same.
It's depth perception.
Yeah, exactly. I know. So it's like, do I have to close my business? Can I even drive anymore? Like, what are the variables here?
There's a lot.
You know, and I think people underplay safety. And they'll watch videos, they'll underplay what someone else went through to make them feel better about not being that way. And sure, if that's the route you want to take, go ahead. But there's lots of people that I know that I've helped out make smarter decisions, and that's what it's all about. Why do you have to go through the same thing that I have to go through because I made a bad decision?
Yeah.
You know? And this is how we both got to where we are, is by learning from other people.
Yeah.
So why is safety different?
It should be. And you know what's funny is that why is it that trades, when they're working on their own personal homes, they put safety on the back burner?
Sandals all the time. If it's summertime, they're building decks, they're building houses with safety sandals.
Crocs and safety sandals.
100%.
And then they're not even wearing goggles. It's just a quick cut. It's just a quick cut. It takes milliseconds.
Safety squint.
Yeah, which is absolutely insane. Like, don't do that. It's just like you should be wearing, and I've noticed as I've gotten older, the earmuffs, man. I spent the money on I've spent the money on the ones where I can't hear you if you're right next to me talking to me. I got to pull them off and I go, "What'd you say?" Yeah. Right. So I'm like, it's just because it just hurts your hearing now. So it hurts your hearing because you damaged them.
I used to go to a lot of clubs and I never wore hearing protection. And now if I don't choose the right route with tools or even going out at night, it's like I'm going to have a bad day and I'm just going to hear buzzing in my ears and it's not good.
Are the younger guys conscious of this?
The ones that I'm around, if I see something, I like if electrician's doing something that, like going like this with a knife, you know, I'm going to reach out because sure, maybe you're going to label me a dick, mind your own business, but it's worth it. You know,
and you don't need to tell them the story of what happened.
No,
to you.
I just go, hey,
watching out for their back. That's all it is.
Hey, man, here's this pair of safety glasses. I just want you to be safe. If they choose to or not, it's up to them. But you know, I feel better knowing that I kind of informed. Maybe they don't think of that. Maybe they don't have a boss looking out for their best interests.
Or they have them like. I always found it interesting that all the safety PPE stuff is just like in a dirty bag somewhere. It's just like. In a box somewhere, it's just an afterthought.
You have to make it accessible. It's between my two seats and my Sprinter. That's where everything is.
And it's clean.
And it's clean.
Right.
It goes from here right on there for tomorrow.
And when they get, because I don't care who you are or what brand it is, but safety goggles will scratch.
Yes.
Depends on what's going on. They just happen. So when you start losing the vision, the protection that you're supposed to be getting, you can't see clearly, and now you got to start doing this or whatever. Then what's the point of doing that when you're actually doing something, right?
Yeah.
You get rid of them, break them, throw 100%. Them out and get another pair.
100%.
It's as simple as that, right? Yeah. Or the best thing I like doing is you go on factory tours of brands because they always give you a brand new pair.
Exactly. Yeah.
Hearing protection and goggles, right?
I had to get a second luggage going to Milwaukee to go through their thing. They're like, here.
That's all it is, man. So yeah, there's a bunch of things that. Okay, so I love that you got an exit plan, man. That's gonna put you in a different state.
I realize being a tradesperson that you're not gonna be able to do what you do all the time. And I've tried expanding my business, and I don't know. That's just not the route that I want to take anymore. You know, I'm not.
You don't want a franchise Target and get.
No, I've realized that a long time ago. Okay. I don't want that. And the thing is, when I go on vacation, I tell everybody I'm on vacation. If I had 10 guys working under me, am I really ever on vacation?
No.
You know, like.
They'd be reaching out to you all the time.
Exactly. So I realized it a long time ago I was never going to be big.
So when you shut it down, you shut it down.
Yeah. I'll probably always do it until I can't anymore, but it'll probably be toned down a little bit. So yeah, we have an exit plan. I'm a little bit of a hippie that I want to grow like some fruits and vegetables and being a little bit of a minimalist. I want to get into maybe high-end microgreens for restaurants and stuff. And I have like a 14 by 14 room that's in my basement that I'm going to completely make an indoor greenhouse. And I'll do a 2-week turnaround for microgreens and sell them. And,
that's awesome, man.
And if I can do 2,000 every 2 weeks off that, that's a win. I didn't leave my house,
You just got to deliver it. That's it.
Exactly.
Or they can pick it up on their rounds.
I'll probably do a delivery service for a little bit more. Yeah, but the thing is, like, that's what will make me happy long term is like being at home more. Like ever since I bought this property, I was like, how can I be at home more? I've never really wanted to be at home. I always wanted to be out doing things, but it's a very new feeling and a very relaxing feeling wanting to stay at home and just enjoy the space you purchase for yourself.
Were you just trying to figure out how can I make a living while I'm at home more?
Yeah. And
that's a great way to do it.
Yeah. It's it's just, that's why like it's not going to be all eggs in one basket.
No.
Like it's not like plumbing.
But it's going to be one of your things, right?
Yeah,
so there's 7 days of the week. And then you can figure out, well, this is what we do Monday to Wednesday.
But even if you have to work a little bit more, you're at home and you're enjoying it. You have home cooked meals you get to enjoy 3 times a day. Like it's like being at home has a lot of pluses. I'm sure a lot of people realize that through the pandemic. You just get to be more who you want to be and not sit in traffic every day.
They realized that things weren't working properly at home.
No, it's dysfunctional. They're waking up early in the morning, trying to get their kids out to daycare, and then going to work, and then doing it on the reverse, and they just had no them time. I think that's one thing out of COVID that most people probably realize is that they realized who they were and what they needed. And if not, well, then you really ignored it because it was in your face.
If you didn't change or didn't learn, then you got to really
That was your chance.
I know. That was the only chance you're going to get.
Yeah.
They can try again, but that's about it.
Yeah.
But what else you want to, I want to get close to wrapping up and ask you these 12 questions. I'm curious about them, but I think we touched upon a lot, Bryant, man.
Yeah, man. I think one thing that's hard, payment terms with long-term clients. We can have new clients set our payment terms and it's easy to follow. But like, what happens if you have a 5-year relationship and they start slipping a little bit? Like,
it's an interesting thought that you bring up because
I'm faced with it.
They bring it the other way around. How they feel that some trades long-term relationship, they start slacking on their skill set, so they're cutting corners. But now it's an interesting point that you bring it up because it's a valid one where they start taking advantage of you now.
Yeah,
So they'll just keep on pushing off the pay?
Yeah, it's like first payment, of course, it's easy to get. It's more so the end payment. And it's like, it's really hard having that conversation that I found over the years with, me saying previously that I mostly work for the same people all the time. Sometimes it's like they're busy or I'm busy to collect, sure, whatever. But then like sometimes it's like months. And it's like, you can't just go, you don't matter anymore because maybe they're giving you 20% of your business a year, but like it's
dangling a carrot.
Yeah, no, for sure.
It's not right.
Yeah, no, I understand.
I was having a conversation with Roger from Techno Metapost this morning. We were just talking and I'm planning on doing a roundtable with GCs, right? Yep. So this is something that everybody's been asking me to do. So have 4 GCs here of different levels in their career, right?
That's sick.
Senior, junior, and 2 in the middle, right?
Yeah.
And then we got talking and he kept on saying about how he's getting frustrated where people know that they have to pay you, but they're avoiding your calls. They're avoiding your text. They're avoiding your emails.
Yeah.
And so he was talking on, and he's dealing with it right now, a couple of clients or what have you. And it's like, which trade or which GC or which supplier is not dealing with that? That's like a constant theme in the construction
Everybody's
industry.
dealing with it.
You bring it up, it's dealing with it. So then I said to him,
generally hush though, because everybody's embarrassed.
It's always like that.
Yeah.
And I said to him, what if you actually asked the GCs to answer the phone, to answer the email, to answer the text, and just be honest and keep an open dialogue going, listen, I didn't receive the funds yet. They're supposed to be coming this Friday, whatever, but keep them in the loop. And then always for like 2-3 months, answer it, like engage, don't disappear. And I guarantee you that GC would probably have a better business that's being run if they did that instead of trying to avoid everybody because you're just prolonging the payment process.
I think there's also bigger issues like costs of everything's going up. And if you
agreed on price point and everything's done, you've done the work.
No, for sure,
Yeah.
from my angle.
Yeah.
But let's say I'm working for a GC and that person quoted a job maybe 8 months ago for the homeowner or whatever. They're literally your boss and they're the manager of all the funds. And the thing is, if they didn't do their job properly, they may needing that other job to open to pay that. And that's like
Whose fault is that though? Bro?
no, it's not our fault.
Exactly.
But we're the ones dealing with it. And I know I'm not the only one.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like with a long-term client, that's why I specify long-term client, because if it was a one-time client, you just go adios. I don't need this stuff in my life.
But that's not right either.
No, for sure.
Because that's what they're counting on.
Yeah.
And then you lose out the money. And then what happens is you get a GC that's there in their 50th year of working and they've lost to the tune of 7 figures over the course of years. And that's not right either.
Yeah, I would say like probably 5 to 10 is where most years end up being lost.
Loss?
Yeah. Over like maybe like
I'm hoping you're saying like 500 to 1,000, but you're not. It's 5,000 to 10,000.
Yeah, you have a client that a homeowner that you went for, you did a service call, and they said that maybe they would pay you at this point, and they just didn't. Like the thing is, the bigger your business, more you guys you have, the more chances you're taking. Me, I'm very small fish, you know, compared to these guys who have 20 trucks on the road. Which I couldn't even imagine.
They'll take advantage of you as well.
Of course, because they know, people know that you're not going to small claims for.
You won't fight it.
No, it's too much time out of my day to go fight it. It needs to be over like the 500 threshold for you to go fight that.
But that's your yearly vacation money.
Yeah,
that's your upgrade, the micro. Like
you just become better at judging people's character.
Vetting.
You know?
Yeah, I had a Duluca. He's reached out to me. He's a bricklayer, and he listens to the show, and he was like texting me, and he was just asking me. He's been asking me a bunch of questions of what he should put in his contract and stuff like that. And I just
that clause gets bigger and bigger every year.
It does. But I said to him, listen, based on my experience, you can have an ironclad contract.
Yeah.
You can have everything covered.
Yeah.
And you can do the work perfectly, and you can stipulate everything. You could be the nicest person, all this other, and you could still get screwed.
Yep.
And then it's a question on you now. Okay, you want to spend the time and effort and money to go through that whole legal process now. I just said to him, you're better off.
It's too easy to do that.
It's too easy to go that route. I said, just vet your clients better.
Yeah.
And I go, don't necessarily ask them direct questions. Just when you're meeting them and you're going through scope or whatever, plant certain scenarios and see how they react. Yeah. If you paint a certain picture about jokingly saying, what if we just hate each other one day and I come in and you can't stand me and you want something to change, and then all of a sudden watch how their body language is. See how if they're going to be defensive. Exactly. Then you start realizing, oh, I don't know if I want to work with this person.
Yeah.
Because what if that scenario does happen? Yeah. I don't want to work with this person. So I just said, focus on trying to gauge body language better.
And this is where me deciding to go into business and being a people person a little more is beneficial, because I don't consider it time out of my day to sit down with the client, having a coffee. Let's joke around about something other than work. What are your kids doing? Yeah. How old are they? What do you enjoy? What do you enjoy doing after work? We don't have to go golfing together, but we can have a conversation about it.
Yep.
You know, and I think that is the difference between you getting paid and not getting paid. Sometimes
I agree with you 100%.
And
you'll discover things about that person, that family, that dynamic. I went to go quote a job one time. Sorry, Bryant. I went to go quote a job, and the couple fought right in front of me. I just met them, and she said something. He said something. She didn't agree what he said.
On the line of a divorce,
and they just fought. Like they just unleashed right in front of me, and I'm thinking to myself, like, I just met you people, and then I just politely in an email just pull myself out of the bidding, and I said, I'm not interested. I can't do this job.
Good for you.
I'm like, there's no way. You guys just fought in front of me. I'm not going to deal with this.
No.
But you're right. You got to like people, please, and just try to read people.
And I think like we're very busy people, and we have to, in order to make it, you have to be very multitask thinking. Yeah. So, and then if you get into commercial, which is the reason why I kind of stay away from it, it's not only theirs money, they have investors. So if one of their 10 investors is not happy, well, maybe that money is going to be held. And you don't even know who these people are, but you're doing business with them.
And you're a low man on the totem pole.
Yeah.
And odds are you might not get paid.
Exactly.
Because they'll be stuck in litigation.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden they're like, sorry, we're not paying you. We don't have the money.
Yeah.
But I've done the work.
And most of those guys probably have way more money than you ever will if they're doing the investing, you know?
There's shady part of the whole business. There's
For
like
sure.
all
For
kinds
sure.
of stuff. But I guess it's also falls on the tradesperson on how they react to it. I think 90% of the time it's how you react to a scenario.
If you're unhappy, it's probably for a reason 90% of the time.
Yes.
What did I do wrong? And I really enjoy this question when I'm on site. Like when you don't have a general contractor on site and you're expected to do certain work, it's really hard to build that relationship because they're just a text, hey, can you go here, do this? And there's no relationship necessarily. It's just very transactional. But if you're on site with the contractor every day and I can go up to you at the end of the day and go, hey, were you happy with everything? Is there anything that didn't get done that you were expecting to get done today? Like, will your client be happy with this? I tried like making sure I covered all, dotted all my I's, and they bring something to your table and you listen to that, that's huge.
Am I wrong to assume that most GCs today are not on site?
I've worked for a lot of companies that used to be a little bit smaller, and the GC basically had 3 sites open and he visited 1, 2, 3 on rotation.
Okay.
And then that, like one of those companies, he basically is running from his house now, and he's only on site maybe 2 days a week.
I know, but he should be on site.
I understand that, but everybody's had to make changes based on their needs in life. And
But you got questions. No, you're not the only trade that's got questions.
no, for sure. But you see their sites fall apart in a way.
Yes.
You know, like they're not clean. The client's coming in going, who is here today?
Yeah.
They shouldn't be asking that.
No.
You know, like there's a lot of things that I've seen, and most of the time I will slowly work out of that going, this is a recipe for disaster. I see it coming, and I don't really want to be here for the main storm, you know?
I was always on site, man. Sometimes too much because I wanted to learn and pick the brains and try to figure out what's going on for each of the
That's
trades.
the difference, though.
And then answer all the questions, right? Get that answer right away.
I think I would make I started doing GCing, but I think you need some experience in that from watching somebody else.
Yeah.
Not just, I want to be a good GC. You know,
You got to shadow somebody
yeah.
to get a better idea.
And I had to get out, but I realized that I don't mind GCing my own projects, but if it was for a client, the expectation is completely different. And like I love houses in general. I love what it does for somebody. I love how different you can make one from the other. I know that, like, you know, if you build a house well, it'll interact back with you a lot different. You know, it's I enjoy that part. That's why I'm at the building show,
Yeah,
man. Like
I
most
love
plumbers
it.
probably don't go to the building show, but like
you went to the kitchen bash show, so there's a lot of plumbing going on there
for
as
sure.
well too.
But
right?
I'm more like, what's a new vapor barrier? Like, what is a new foundation? You know, like
You just
like,
want to see what's going
I want
on.
to see what's going on. And this is another point. Being in a field, if you're a plumber and only understanding plumbing, that's the deficiency.
Yeah.
If you don't understand where the electrical needs to go and you put your water lines where a light switch should be, you should know that. You know, that's why HVAC comes first. But what happens if I had to get in there before the HVAC guys and I screw them? Well, then what happens? You know, it's like you need to be well-rounded in construction before you're in it. And I think that's a big flaw in there, where one person goes in, doesn't care about the next trade, and then it's for the other people to deal with.
I've always said it that at your own home, you should listen to it breathe. Mm-hmm. And what I mean by that, you should get a better understanding of how your house works.
Yeah.
Because I've always been a big fan of having like dining room tables or single standing tables, but a receptacle underneath it. Mm-hmm. On the floor or just underneath it, right?
For a laptop or something.
So when you want to, if you want to, sit at that table that's not being used for a formal engagement, you know, family get together, whatever, but you have a laptop and you want to plug it in instead of trying to plug it to a wall and have that
tripping hazard.
A tripping hazard, right? Yeah. And Macs are fine because they got the magnet, whatever. But the thing is, why not just put the plug there? And it's like you take these little ideas from commercial facilities. You take it from like what they're doing. And every table you go to, even in this facility, you go to any of those tables outside. No, some rooms, not ours. We had to put ours. But all those tables outside there in the open area, there's a plug right there.
Makes sense.
Which makes all sense, right?
100%.
So it's just like you start letting you hear your house breathe, and you'll start learning certain things. And the best thing you can do is actually, when you're trying to figure out how to design your bathroom, how to design your kitchen, how to design your bedrooms, you start understanding what certain things you need to put in there. And these
100%.
are all things that you start picking up from going to home show or speaking to other trades.
100%.
They saw I did this. They, you know, and you
That's
start,
another.
that's great.
That's another big flaw. A lot of people have these homes. We're all told to buy a home one day, start a family one day, but then people don't understand how to use their home and how to take care of it.
Maintain.
Like, how many people know that a tankless water heater needs to be having yearly maintenance on it and flush, or the calcium and lime will build up inside it and it won't work anymore.
HRV, filters.
Yeah. Or how about, you know, one point I have in my my notes is how many people call me saying that they have no water coming out of their shower head, yet they didn't massage all the nipples on their shower head and they're all blocked with little calcium deposits. You know, it's so simple.
I do that every so often.
Oh,
when
me
I'm in
too.
When I'm not getting that soft rain on my head, I'm like, the calcium's built up there.
Yeah.
So then you take a shower, and for the first 2 minutes of the shower, you're cleaning each of the nipples. That's all you're doing.
How many clients have you gone to, or have I gone to?
Oh, it's just like icing.
Yeah. Or you go in and you have a drain call, and you know you have a drain call, and you tell them you can't put grease down anymore and all this stuff. They're like, we don't do that. I'm like, okay, well, somebody did it, and it wasn't me. I'm just here to take it away. You know?
We don't do
you
that.
You can deny it all you want, but I know the real outcome.
Can I show you the pipe? It's like, we don't do that.
One thing that I shared with people on the gram a little while ago was there's many people I know that just go to the bathroom at nighttime. They don't flush. They don't want to disturb. But that urine sitting in the toilet will...
It's the worst thing you can do.
Worst thing. That toilet's going to be like killed in like a matter of years with the lining of calcium. It's like, it's just, people don't think about it because they're not educated. But like, where do you get this education from? Being told, don't do it.
Don't make the noise at night. Make the noise. Who cares,
man?
Yeah. No, I know.
If it's yellow, mellow. No.
That's funny, man. We cover everything? You got any more notes to bring up?
I think we'll leave it for next time.
I'm so glad to have you on the show, man. I know it's a long time coming.
Yeah, long time
you're
coming.
a busy guy and everything, but I'm so glad that you got on the show, man. So I got the 12 questions to do.
All right.
Target Combined Services, Bryant Isaacs at Target Contracting, 905-903-5434, Bryant at targetcombinedservices.com.
What are these 12 questions?
I sent it to you. Did I send it to you? Maybe not.
Probably.
Don't worry. There's no right or wrong.
Okay.
They're just fun questions. What's your favorite construction word?
I don't know. I don't know. I had a word when I first read this, and I did read this. Now it was many months ago, and now I lost track.
Okay, so what's your least favorite construction word? I'll come back to the first one.
I don't really like derogatory words. Like when somebody try to make you feel little. Anything that classifies in them, not for me.
A little jab.
Yeah, a little jab.
What turns you on in construction?
Sexy design. Like I love a well thought out design. When a designer gives me blueprints that have every height of everything labeled, that turns me on.
You can visualize.
Oh yeah, the bathroom on the blueprint comes to life. I don't even have to build it.
What turns you off in construction?
Mess. When a job site's messy.
There's no reason for it.
I can't function.
There's no reason for it.
Yeah.
Not in today's day.
Yeah.
Every trade just pitch in.
Oh yeah.
My biggest peeve of having like Tim Hortons, Timmy's, all cups everywhere.
Cups on every window seal, every nook and cranny. Yeah, just throw them out.
When I'm there, I just go. I just walk around and throw them out. I don't care if they're full. I just throw them out.
Oh, exactly.
Why'd you throw that out?
Nobody's coming back for that coffee.
Not, and especially if they're on table sauce, man. Oh, what's your favorite curse word?
It's gonna probably be the F1.
F1. What's your favorite vehicle of all time? Anything in the world?
It was an R8 until I drove it, and I
you like it?
I love standard, and the one that I drove was
paddle?
it's paddle. I'm not a fan of.
I don't like paddle.
You can't even buy a standard car very easy anymore. They're pushing them all out because they're not the fastest.
No, I think Porsche announced one recently, a brand new one.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's 300.
Well, it's probably out of my price range.
Stupid price.
I have a A5.
It's
the stick. It's great. I love it.
I love stick, man.
Yeah,
I don't know many kids.
I'm an Audi guy.
I don't think any kids know how to drive stick these days.
Probably not. No, it's good that my fiance doesn't know because then she doesn't take the car.
What's your least favorite vehicle in the world?
Anything domestic?
Anything American, huh?
Yeah, pretty much. Like
these days, I'm saying these days, they had an era.
Okay, yeah.
They had an era.
If you're talking like...
I would say the era stopped late 70s.
Yeah. Like the Dodge Neon. That was a terrible car. Let's throw that underneath the bus right there.
Dodge Neon, Kia Soul,
Yeah.
Hyundai Pony. Like there's all kinds of bad
Yeah,
cars. But
yeah.
what construction sound or noise do you love?
I know the next one, and it's a grinder. I hate the grinder
You
noise.
hate the grinder?
Yeah,
Okay. But which one do you love?
Construction noise. After I snake a drain and it slurps.
Because it just goes. So a grinder for the next one. What profession other than your own would you like to attempt one day? I think, well, you already shared some of that.
Architect, designer, electrician.
Builder. What profession would you not like to do?
Outhouse cleaning. Or,
money.
porta potty. Yeah, it's
it's
kind of like in my line of work, but not.
It's a tough one.
Yeah.
That's a tough one.
I don't know.
Back to the first one. What's your favorite construction word? No favorite construction.
I really didn't put too much thought into that. It's not design or green or anything like
No, I
that.
had some guys say good morning.
Yeah.
Like things like that.
Good morning?
Just good
That's a
morning.
construction word? Yeah.
Well, it's the construction site. You get on a job site and you just kind of say hello kind of thing.
Yeah. Productive.
Productive.
Let's throw that.
Last question. If heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive at those pearly gates?
You did good, son.
Brian, man, pleasure having you, bro.
Same,
Thanks
man.
so much,
Thanks
man.
for having
It's
us.
been a blast, man. This is
Yeah,
great. I wish you
yeah.
all the best. If you got
Thank
any
you.
questions, let me know. I'd love to come by your place and take a look at it once you got to have all done, man.
Oh, let's go.
I totally would love to come by. and
Even
take a
if
look
it's
at
not done, you can walk the
I
property.
totally
Let's have
would
a
love to
beer.
do that. Yeah, for
have an
sure.
espresso. I know you like those.
it. Well, I drink both.
Okay.
I don't think I've said no to anything these days, right?
Okay.
I'm not going to be drinking. What are those?
I'm a Negroni guy. Are you all right with that?
Oh, I'm totally fine with
Okay,
that.
okay.
But what are those bubble teas? Is it bubble tea? Yeah, I'm not a bubble teas guy.
No,
Like
no,
that,
no.
Stuff like that. I'm not.
Especially
into
with the tapioca. You
Yeah,
don't
no, I'm
want
not.
that.
No. Just give me alcohol and.
I just got into iced coffee.
Iced coffee works
Yeah,
too as well.
it's a little nicer in the summertime when you don't want the hot coffee. I wait for my hot morning coffee to cool
down?
It takes too long in this cup. But,
Everybody, check them out. Target Combined Services. Brian Isaacs at Target Contracting 905-903-5434. Bryant at targetcombinedservices.com. That's
Thanks,
it, man.
Manny.
Thanks, man.
Thanks.
Angelina, we're out of here.